Okay, I'm going to tell you a little story about my life and how I've gotten to this place. Um, I, before I get to talking about the Philippian P, let me talk first about my story. It's a story that any man has already gone through or is going through right now as I speak. The so-called passport bros are going through this right now. But I have my cultural setbacks, and thanks to the Philippine P, I don't have to go through the passport bros to get results, if that's what I'm looking for, in the Philippines. First of all, let me say this. It all started after my divorce. I was all ready to meet another black woman. Because I figure I'm probably going to end up with a black woman because I'm black and I'm not really all that desirable to other races anyway. But there were a lot of black women at the jobs, including white women, that I was listening to and flirting with and so forth and so on. And I noticed that when I was a child coming up, there were, in my life, I noticed two types of white people. I noticed the hillbilly type, and I noticed like white women that lived in the suburbs, that were near the city and all like that. Well, I understand now that they live further out than the further out than just right outside the city. Because naturally, white folks live outside the city. They never live in the city or right in the town. They always live in the suburbs a good ways out. And now that I understand those neighborhoods, because I've been there since, I graduated from youth camp and started driving and been married and had to go travel around Pennsylvania to get my things, to get conveniences and so forth, so not okay. I realized just how these counties are and how the suburbs are a culture. They actually are a different culture than the white people that live near the cities. The white people that have to live with black people, share neighborhood and space with them, are different than the white people that are further out. And one of the things I learned coming up in church camp, coming up in Jesus camp, was that white women, depending on what part of Pennsylvania they were from or what part of Georgia they were from or whatever, were very clean, smelling good, you know what I'm saying? Very pretty, very, that suburban. I thought it was a city look, but I realize now it's a suburban look. It was really, women from the deep suburbs were Well, where you wanted to be. I mean, they were the best white women. Like when they came into Pittsburgh, you knew they wasn't from Pittsburgh. You know, you know. Dave Chappelle made that joke about Ohio, the deep suburbs in Ohio, and in his neighborhood, he said there's a lot of white women with dirty feet because the white women in his neighborhood walk around with no shoes on all day. And they're sexy and beautiful, but they got dirty feet. Okay? And I've stayed at some white females' houses where I've watched them keep going and washing their feet over and over and over again. Okay? It's different. And there's a lot of different women out there. And so, but black women, even black women in the ghetto where I grew up, like my cousins taught me how to dress. And they themselves, everything was matching. It wasn't like today with the torn jeans and the crazy hairdos, the weaves, and black women. There wasn't that many black women overweight back then, not in my ghetto anyway, and so on and so on. I mean, these black women. One thing I could compare black women to white women was in near near the ghettos and that was that black women, if you're gonna look at a woman's outfit and give it a compliment, or you're gonna look at hair that's been braided or whatever and give it a compliment, it was a black woman. Whether you was white or black, you bragged about the black woman. Okay, she was looking sharp. And even though I grew up, coming up as a kid, all my wet dreams were with white women. I never had a fantasy about being with a black woman, okay, until I actually started dating white women, okay? Until I actually started dating a black woman, okay? And then, when I started messing with black women, I started looking at her cousins and her sisters and all like that, and I started understanding that, that there's something about that melanation, or melanin, or however you pronounce it. But these white women, depending on where they were from, the white women out in the deep suburbs they had more in common with black women back in the day that lived in the city than the white women that lived in the city. Okay, the white women that lived in the city were very, very, raggedy jean wearing, what I'm saying? Now today, white women are dressing better than black women, they wear their jeans to fit. Everything's tight, which as a Christian, I'm not fond of that, but everything is nice and tight. And they're wearing their little lovely skirts and all like that. But I remember when white women used to be raggedy. Saying all this to point out how it's not just women or a certain classification of women the whole time, but it's how cultures have changed over the years. Like I remember when, matter of fact, this is just since I've been on YouTube. I can show you videos where Asian women clearly said that there's an Asian woman here on YouTube. She's in my history somewhere where she talked about, I don't know what she was from. But it's funny how when I watched that video, I forgot that when you say Asian, you're talking about, you're talking about all Asian women. All, you're talking about, the Philippines, Thailand, China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, you're talking about all these Asian women, and so this woman was just being a little racist a little racist witch, what she was being by getting on there saying that this is why Asian women don't do black men. This is why they don't get with black men, And then right after that, I saw a video in China where a certain population of Chinese women were dating black men. Like if black men come out there and they have some kind of celebrity status, or they have some kind of status that gets them known in the clubs or something like that, these Chinese women will flock to them. And you know what I mean? And so, and then I'm hearing stories about like, this black guy married a Vietnamese woman, and Vietnamese is how you pronounce that. I got I used to babysit a Vietnamese girl. Okay, her and her sister used to stay at my house when her mom had to do something, and then my kids used to stay at their house when my wife and I had to do something. She was married to a black man. All her kids are biracial. Now she's finally married to a white man, but black dude screwed up really, really bad. I think he's in jail. It's true. Like, it's almost like, but now this passport bros thing, I just heard a guy say that he's in Japan with a girl from Japan. And I'm kind of shocked with that, because I figured Japanese women would be the last kind of women to be with black. Now all these Asian women, from the most ghettoest of them to the most high class of them, they all don't mind messing with a white man. Okay, but what got me to changing, like, like I said, when I was a kid, all the girls that made sense were, like, I went to a private Christian elementary school when I was a kid, and there was only three of us, three black folks there, me, Darnell, and his brother. Okay, and Darnell and his brother were in the gang. I don't know, Bloods, Crips, whatever they were, in McKeesport. But they were the youngest members of the gang. They tried to force me to join the gang. They were going around kicking people's butt for me, all my enemies, They were kicking their butts and then saying, hey, man, you're in the gang. I said, no, I'm not. I'm a Christian. I ain't allowed to be in no gang. But they tried to force me to get in the gang. Thank God it never happened. Matter of fact, I think Darnell got so sick with, like, that one skin disease, he had to drop out of school. Get special medical attention, and he never came back. He decided to just go gang full time once, he got the bad news from the doctors or whatever. But it was 3 black guys and 1 precious Colombian dude in that school. And everybody else was white. And I had my first white crush in there. And then I went to camp, and I had about 2 or 3 white crushes. And, I could have made them crushes turn into a marriage by this day and time if I hadn't have been such a, if I hadn't have been so wanting to move so fast and wanting to be so aggressive. You know what I mean? I was never a hopeless romantic or nothing. I was always, Oh, she likes me. Okay, well then what's the problem then? Why ain't we kissing? Why ain't we going out? Why ain't we this? Why ain't we that? I didn't know how to talk to women, and I mean, well, even back then we were just teens, but I didn't know how to talk to women and all like that. And you can't do that with these white girls. You can't just walk up and say, "Hey, what's up then? We gonna do this or what?" You can't talk to these women, like that. Especially kind of white women I like. I like these Virgin Mary type of white women, real modest, real pure, kind of like them Dave Chappelle white women that, everything's clean but their feet. And then, I call them on their phone and they put them feet in some water, okay? You know what I mean? But I just like those, the kind of white women I like, I don't see much around anymore. Okay? White women are very nice today, and it's a shame, they're still doing better than, I hate to say this, black women as far as personality goes and being wives and all like that. And I'm not trying to put y'all down. It's just a fact. It's the facts. Don't hate the player. Okay, hate the culture. Okay, it's just the way it is. Okay, I mean, what I'm saying, a black woman has never been my first choice. Now, I've had some black girlfriends, and I married a black woman, and I think I wanted to do this for the race. I wanted to do this, for the slave victims when I married my black wife, because she was never, she was never what I was looking for, as far as, her personality goes and all like that. I mean, I found her sweet side. Every black woman has her sweet side, and it's always more in the bedroom than it is anywhere else. But, I figured if me and her could just get along about one thing, we can make this work. And we did get along about one thing, and we did have 2 precious daughters out of the whole deal. But, okay, I mean, if she had been a white woman that been through everything that she been through in life, she would have handled it different. That's all I know. Like, I've met plenty of white women who have been through what my ex-wife has been through in life. But we always let the victim part of our lives take over everything else, and we even take it out on each other in our race and our culture, when your race, your culture is not responsible for what happened to you. You know what I'm saying? And my wife had a hard life, and that was a red flag right there. Like, let her get over that stuff. She never gave her burdens to the Lord. She never gave what she was suffering to Jesus. She just suffered it, and everybody, okay, who had a problem with her attitude behind it was just making her suffer more, and she needed to yell, she needed to scream, she needed to just like everybody to be her punching bag, because of what she'd been through in life, that she couldn't just let go of it, and I find this with a lot of black women. Now, back in her time, I could honestly blame it on the black man, but today I cannot blame the problems that black women face on black men. Partly maybe, but not completely. I think if black men keep it in their pants and black women keep their legs closed, you'll find out that we might get our culture back. But there's more men and women just screwing today and having these kids out of wedlock, especially in our race, our culture, more than anybody else's. And you got the nerve to try and, talk about racism and talk about cops and, when that, you didn't have to get into this domestic dispute and start slamming stuff around. You didn't have to pick up a gun. You didn't have to pick up a weapon. You didn't have to call him them kind of names. You didn't have to put the kids in the middle of this. You didn't have to do that, but you chose to do that because we black and we're aggressive like that. We got that aggressive attitude. Okay? But, you know, white women are more cautious when they know that they got kids to take care of. They handle things a little bit different, and white women are more cautious because they understand that if they just want to screw around, they don't need to get married. They can just keep living in fornication until they get tired of it. But, you know, when a man proposes to a white woman, that changes a white woman's life, and she feels that she has to get her life in order, and vice versa. When a white man meets a white woman that he feels that he can settle down with, and he knows he's going to propose to her, you know, it causes him to get his life in shape. No more screwing around. No more of the roughneck, infidelity boy, you know what I mean, chasing skirts, you know what I mean, out with the boys all the time, you know, acting a fool. You know what I'm saying? No, he's got to grow up here because he found the love of his life. But it's almost like these dreams don't happen in the black community. You know what I'm saying? So-called black community. But what happened to me was going through all this, and after my divorce and everything, I'm on the bus one day, and I just started thinking, and this woman got on the bus. She had to be the most beautifulest. Well, first there was another girl on the bus. She was Asian too, and she was very dark. They were both just as dark as me. And I never seen this. Believe it or not, I never seen this. Maybe in movies or something, but I've never seen a woman of another race be as dark or darker than me, unless they're African. You know, Africa, Haiti, out that way. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen anybody but Africans and Haitians, like even all the Jamaican people. Jamaican friends that I've had have all been lighter than me. They've been all light skinned, you know. Just lighter than me, you know. But, you know, the only people I've ever met that are darker than me, or as dark as me, are African, or blacks, Africans, and Haitians. That's it. Okay? These girls were as dark as me. I thought they was black women when I first looked at them, but they had, you know, that fine hair, and it wasn't no weave, it wasn't no, it went all the way down their back, like white women wish they could let their hair grow down their back that long. Like, I mean, this, you know what I'm saying, and so I met these two women, and the one girl, she had the most beautiful face. It was so beautiful, I would go to work and I couldn't get her out of my head. She was so beautiful, and I used to tell my boss about it. And I took a picture of her. I didn't want her to catch me taking her picture, but she would always get on the bus, and she didn't smile until somebody she knew from her neighborhood or something said something to her, and then she'd smile. She had the most, oh my God, the most gorgeous smile. And one day I caught a picture of her. Okay, and my boss is a white man, you know, and I caught a picture of her. And it was way back there. It was a, you know, her face was about this small in the camera. And she was getting on the bus, and when she's getting her seat, I secretly snapped that picture. Everything in the background was movable because I snapped it so fast. He took a good look at that picture. He says, well, yeah, she is kind of pretty. She's more than pretty, man. That face is worth $1 billion, man. This girl was gorgeous. Okay? And I couldn't get over how brown she was. That was the main thing. Like And it made me look at life. Just meeting this girl, and we had to sit together because the bus was crowded a couple times and all like that. And you know what I'm saying? I watched these white guys, that she worked with. She had this white dude that was like probably almost as old as her dad. I'm thinking, why do white men do this? I know now why they do this, because in their countries, this is very common. Like, white men actually go over to these countries and do this to these foreign women. And what we're seeing today is that black men have finally been invited to get on this bandwagon. But I'll get to that in a second. But oh my God, this girl was so pretty. And if I had gotten a good picture of her picture would be a poster on my wall right now. It would be a picture. It would be a poster on my wall in this apartment. It would be. I mean, this girl is just drop dead gorgeous, and mainly her face. Her body's a little bit too skinny for my taste, but that face, oh my God, it was like just cut this part of her body off and make a sculpture out of it and put it anywhere, and all the other Asian countries will want to look like her. I mean, she was just beautiful. The lips, the nose, the eyes, And I'm like, she's not Chinese. She's not Japanese. What is she? And so I started looking this stuff up online, and the closest I could come to, and I asked somebody that worked with her one day. He was talking about her, and I says, I bet she's from Indonesia, right? He says, yeah, I'm pretty sure if I remember talking to her, she's from Indonesia. And I'm thinking, good Lord. So I started looking online at these Indonesian women, and I noticed that in Indonesia, like every other Asian nation, the Asian women that look closer to white women, they get treated a certain way, but the Asian women that have more melanation in their skin, they get treated differently. And so when you talk about Indonesia, okay, Indonesia is half Indian and half Asian. And when you talk about Indonesia, they want you to see these Chinese women, these Chinese looking women, like, you know what I mean, or Japanese looking women, in their little outfits and all like that. And I'm thinking, no, none of these women were as dark and beautiful and melanated as this girl was. Okay. So to this day, I could never get that girl out of my mind. And that was when I began to have an interest in foreign women right there. I remember when we were kids, all the Asian women that ever came around us, we used to make fun of them. Like, the guys used to tell me, especially about certain Asian girls, that they look funny. We used to make, jokes about them, and white guys on the job used to make jokes about them. You remember that joke? Hey, have you ever seen an Asian woman naked? You know what I mean? Like, their hickeys go like, you know what I mean? They used to just make these rude, crude jokes about Asian women. Okay? And they were talking about this on YouTube today, like how back in the day we used to make these crude jokes about Asian women. Everybody made jokes about Asian women. They thought that they looked funny. And they all look alike. And so we made jokes about that too. Oh, you think black folks look alike? You should see Asian people. You think Spanish people look alike? You should see Asian people. And we were doing that over and over and over again. But while this was going on, white men were going over to Indonesia. They were going over to the Philippines. And they were going over to Thailand way back then. And marrying these foreign women. Okay? So, I just spent probably 3 hours watching a lovely Philippine lady. Her channel is called the Philippine P. Okay? That's her name. Her name is P. And she calls herself the Filipina P. Okay? That's her channel name. And I'm finding out that the Passport Bros, she was defending the Passport Bros because she found out about it. But her channel, I think is older than the Passport Bros, because her channel, I believe, started before the pandemic. Passport Bros didn't start till after the pandemic. Okay? So, she's not really... Now, she's that girl I showed you that was talking about black women being upset that black men were moving to the Philippines and Thailand and Colombia and all like that, looking for solace in other countries, and black women tripping over it, and they need to stop, okay? And she did a whole video on it. And so everybody was mad at this girl. But when you go to her channel was all about living in the Philippines. And for a 23-year-old girl, I think she's 23, she is very, very mature. And very, 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 I mean, like, this girl does not stutter when she talks. I mean, she does not stutter a pinch. I mean, she just says what she got to say, and she says it in such a way to where, like, you know, you get so much information from her, and it changed my mind about, like I said in the last video, I have to apologize. After listening to her, she's been very, very honest, and after listening to her, I changed my mind about what I said about calling Philippine women a bunch of hoes and a bunch of whores and all this kind of stuff. You know, because she let me know that their culture has always been like this. She was born into this culture. It's always been like this. And she admitted, you know, the faults of it all on their side, and the faults of people come there looking for the wrong thing. The Passport Bros going into the Philippines is just, you know, a bunch of black men getting together on websites, and they're trying to make money off of each other by using websites to get them all doing the same thing. But these Philippine women, if they are into white men, that's what they're into. These Philippine women, you know, there's certain Philippine women that don't care about a man's race. Okay? Now, see, me, personally, I want a woman to care about my race. I want a woman to care about my height. Listen to me. But, you know, I mean, I don't want a woman to put me down about my height, but if she really, 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 really prefers a taller man, then, you know, don't hook up with me just because your culture never made a distinction. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my only problem with everything she says is that me as an American, me being from the West, I've never seen anything wrong with women having a preference. Now in Thailand and the Philippines, women don't have the same preferences about men that that Western women have. Okay? Women don't look at a man and say, oh, well, you know what I'm saying, he's got to have a flat stomach, he's got to be... She said all this over and over in these videos. You know, in the Philippines, a man doesn't have to be a certain race. He doesn't have to have, you know, a flat stomach. Well, she did tell me that women do have a preference. It's all about personality and upbringing and religion and that. Those things are important to a Philippine woman. But as far as the man's physical qualities and his looks, women don't care in that part of the world. They're more concerned about their feminine qualities because they feel that is the center of a successful relationship, they think that their beauty and the way they take care of themselves makes a man appreciate them. That's the way they've been taught. And there's a little bit of truth to that. A little bit, but how many of these beautiful black and white women here in America get slapped around like, get slapped around for cracking an egg wrong? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So there's there's a little bit of truth to that, but don't bank your life your life savings on it, okay? Because we got, and she said it so herself, we got just as many beautiful Filipino women and white women and black women and that here in the West, and things are different, okay? But these Filipino women in the Philippines do not look at a man. So like I did that video earlier today about this woman being with a fat dude and all like that. I do think that she was in it with him for the money, and Miss P, she admitted all this. Like, you got to be careful when you go to the Philippines and Thailand, because everybody is out to get lucky, and everybody's, my question still is, what's going on with Filipino men while this was going on? Like, how can you have a website and you're inviting, okay, y'all want to go black? Let's go black. Let's call it Passport Bros. And all y'all come over here and get with us Filipino women and find love and all like this. My question still is, what's going on with these Filipino men? There's a trick to that. There's something up with that. And she just got done talking about, how, porn is. So let me get this straight. The Filipino men are looking at porn and whacking off, while these Filipino women are inviting all these men from the West to come and find their Filipina. Okay? I'm curious. I'd like to talk to a Filipino man and ask him, what's up with that? Like, what are you doing that, you got all these young, beautiful Filipino women out there, and you busting your behind to make money. It's okay for an American to bust his behind and make money and be with a lovely Filipino woman who claims she ain't judging a man by his looks or anything, but she's skipping right over you and waiting on an American to come in there and do the same thing you can do. Okay, and you're happy with your culture because you were born and raised in it. I'm confused. I want to know why that is. But, in closing, after 3 hours of listening to her, I have to take back what I said. Okay, I have to take back what I said about, Philippine women, it all being prostitution. I was wrong for saying that, because there are prostitutes, and that's in every foreign country. And it's the same whether you go to, even if you go to Japan, it's the same. Like she said, be careful about the first woman that runs up on you and acts like she can just grab you and make you run away with her, because those are the ones you want to be careful for. But at the same time, it's easier to talk to a Filipino woman and just strike into a conversation with her. There's no pickup lines. There's no, none of that. Young Filipino women, don't mind hooking up with older men because they feel older men are mature and, are less likely to leave them so fast as the younger men are. That's what she said. Okay. The thing is, Philippine women are more concerned about, she said, P said, Philippine women, or she was very honest. She said Philippine women are more concerned about your ability to take care of them. Again, I'm confused because you've been taken care of all this time. Look at you, making this site where you're running the beaches and, just throwing your little beautiful body up on YouTube like that. Showing yourself at, if you were here in America, that would be a very expensive beach, but because it's in the Philippines, you know what I mean? It's free, or it's very cheap, And she showed me the hotels that you could stay at by the beach for, $150 for a ballroom, outdoor ballroom, hotel room. Okay. You can shut the room down and shut the windows in the place of a rainstorm or something like that. But the hotel, it's all opened up. Like in the middle of the night, I'm sure there's bats flying around in them hotel rooms and all like that, because they're like, they're like them hotels on the beaches of Hawaii where, they don't need windows, But inside these hotel rooms, the bedrooms, mainly the bedrooms and the living rooms, have doors that separate the room from the rest of the house, so that in the midst of a rainstorm or something like that, you can go in there and protect yourself. It's pretty cool. But when you open that room door in the morning, you're right on the water. It's really amazing. But I'm very interested now that I've listened to 3 hours of her, okay, and watch her beautiful, cute little self, make these videos. She's a very, very, very expert content creator, and the way she explains things is like going to church. She just really, 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 really knows how to talk and explain things, and she's very highly sophisticated and, in my opinion, highly educated, whether she went to college or not. Speaks English perfectly clear, and she speaks other languages too. She's a very amazing person. My question is, how are you doing these videos and inviting these men over there, but you did admit that you dated, both, you went to all the way to Thailand to find a date. You went on dates with people in the Philippines. You're a little bit upset that you didn't get the date that you wanted in Thailand. Okay, and you dated both foreigners and Philippine men. And as beautiful as you are and talented as you are, and as sweet as a person as you are, nobody offered to marry you. Or it appears to me, here we go again, that you want to wait till you're 30 years old or something to get married. Meanwhile, every now and then, you're going to date a guy that's going to, bust your back out. Okay, and then you're going to get on these videos and talk like, you're religious about, the Philippines. It's just, as a Christian, that's a double standard to me. But, when most of her friends are dating older men, they want to get married. As soon as they get out of high school, they want to get married. That's the culture. They want to hurry up and get married to an older man. And they don't care what he looks like. You know what I'm saying? They don't care if he's black or white. To me, I care about the race of the woman that I'm dating. Okay, when I look at you, I'm looking at your beautiful melanated Philippine skin. I'm looking at your Chinese, your Asian features. I'm looking at your hair. I'm looking at that butt. Okay, and I appreciate American women, okay, liking me for who I am. So in closing, I'm going to the Philippines. I just talked to my friend that goes to the Philippines all the time. I'm going to the Philippines, but before I go, I'm going to get rid of this belly. Okay? If you don't think I can do it, you better pray for yourself. I'm getting rid of this belly. Okay? And I'm going to build these arms up. Okay? I think once I do that, I'm pretty hot. Okay? And I'm also going to build up my money, because even though they tell you, the Philippines is the cheapest place you can go and have an extravagant vacation, and you'll definitely be out there taking pictures with lovely Philippine ladies, and that if you go to one of these hotel resorts and take a lovely vacation, whatever, blah, 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 I don't know if I care, but, I called my friend. I told him, I said, hey, man, how much does it cost? What's it going to cost me? Help me do the math, because he goes out to Thailand and Philippines all the time. He probably goes about 4 times a year. I'm hoping that he's being honest with me, because he don't like to talk about it when he gets home. But this is a 6.5 foot tall basketball type of white man who is only about a year or two older than me, and he looks very, very good for his age. Very handsome young man, in my opinion. Works out, is in great shape. Everywhere he goes, women flock to him, but yet he didn't put a ring on nobody's finger yet. I don't get it. And he's not a fornicator either, so I don't know what the problem is, but maybe that's it. I don't know. We go through that, but my point is, I'm not going to go and meet a Philippine girl in the Philippines, because if you fall in love with a Philippine girl in the Philippines, that part about the last video I did, I got that right. Like, there's all these laws, there's all these expectations you got to do, going all the way to their grandparents. You know what I mean? You're expected to be the bank. And she was very honest about that. And I told her, I appreciate you for being honest about that. Okay? But what I want to do is I want to find a Philippine girl that is already used to traveling back and forth to America and the Philippines, or has already been, married to an American man before and lived in the States and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to find my Philippine princess. And so I know where I'm putting my money at now. I'm not trying to be no passport bro, because to me, I don't see any Jesus in that. I'm looking for a good Christian Philippine woman. And she ain't got to be Philippine. She could be Thai, or she could be, I don't know, she could be Korean, you know what I mean? But I like the Philippine mamas and the Thailandish mamas because they're dark. Indonesian women, usually the ones that you see here in the States, are dark. Okay? And that's the prettiest woman I've ever seen. She was from Indonesia. And that's what I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still not going to do it the way the passport bros do. But I've subscribed to this woman's channel. She's young, but she got so much to teach me. And everything from watching your back to marriage to, dealing with old people, kids, police laws, property laws, driving, what rights Americans have and what they don't. She went through so much stuff. I don't want to live in the Philippines because from what I hear, what I heard earlier today, I want to own a gun. I want to live in a country or a state where I have a right to own a gun and protect myself. I don't want nobody telling me I can't buy a house, I can't own property because I'm not part of the family. So that blows me right out of the Philippines right there. Even if I went over there and visited and found out it was one of the best countries, not gonna happen. So, but there's that time that, you know, I thought this would be a quick video. It didn't happen, but thank you for watching. D. Roy Cruz here, and if you have any questions, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Like, do you think the Passport Bros is legit? I don't. But if you know something about Philippine women, and if you know something about the Philippines, talk to me. Let me know what she ain't telling me, but I don't think you can. I think she was very, very, very honest. And each video I watch is just more and more honesty. I've never seen anybody so truthful in my life. So, God bless you. I'll talk to you later with more. Thank you for watching.